All right, welcome. We're going to start tonight with the School Finance Review Board.
All right. I am required to report on annual investment report and the financial indicators each January. So that's what we're going to go over tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. All I can hear is the drum. All right. Natalie, are you going to pull that up? So on the investment report, you're looking at the last 4 years. And as you can see, in 2019, we had a great year. That was the year that First Financial Bank gave us an introductory rate for 3 months. So we earned between a 1% and a 2.5% interest rate for each of those accounts. But then after that first 3 months, they lowered it to less than 1%. And then in March of 2020, they lowered it to 0.15%. So obviously, those earnings were a little unrealistic going forward. So in 2020, we actually budgeted for interest income of about $100,000. And with the extreme reduction in our interest rate with First Financial, we definitely could see that we weren't going to attain that. So as you know, we went out for bid for our banking services and switched to First Merchants as of December 1st. So I'm happy to report that in our first month with First Merchants, we made $8,378 in interest. So we're back on track for that $100,000 a year mark. So right now, we're at the federal rate plus 25 basis points. So I think we're on more solid footing. And one of the differences between the two banks is First Merchants was willing to lock in and commit to that federal rate plus 25 basis points. So it won't fluctuate like it was doing.
How long of a term is that?
We signed a contract for 2 years, I believe. Yeah. So that is your investment report for 2019. Any questions on that? All right, we'll move on to the financial indicators. So just a reminder, these are our financial indicators that are posted on in.gov each year. So it's open to the public to view those for each of the school corporations. So I will run through each one, starting with the average daily membership. As you know, this drives our revenue, so we watch it fairly closely. I did put in actual numbers in 2018 through 2021 just so you could see exactly where we were. We peaked in enrollment in 2018 with 5,097. And then the green bars are spring count. We usually lose between 20 and 70 students to early graduation, et cetera. In fall of 2019, we lost 68 students, and then gained 5 back in fall of 2020. And this year, with all of the challenges that we've had, we lost 122 students for that fall count. A lot of them are homeschooling, so hopefully they'll be back next year. And I think Natalie made some phone calls and reached out to those students, and so hopefully with making those connections. We've enhanced that relationship.
So Brooke or David, do we know of that 122 of the homeschool kids, are any of them still participating in sports here? Could they participate on one of our teams?
They have to still be enrolled in one class, and we have to accept their homeschool.
Okay,
And that at the high school level, they had to do it for a period of time. They can't just start like this year and then continue to participate. That's an IHA rule.
okay,
So most of them, if you look like on that transfer in and out that we received, they're still here, and they actually are going to Union Modoc over on by Boundaries. That's where they're showing up, and it's the Learning Connection School that they're going to. I do think many of them are coming back. You know, when everything's over, I think we will be okay. This phenomenon is playing out in all districts. I know very few districts that won. I know Monroe County declared several $1 million upside down, and then just looking around. So we're all in this same journey. That's why it's so important that the state fully fund what's happening right now, so that we can make it through.
right.
All right, then the next chart shows our fund balances, and this is for all of the accounts that we have. So for 2019, that's $17,720,010. That's the same number that you would see on the corporate financial statement as well. And I forgot to tell you at the beginning, all of these are a year behind. So we're looking at 2019 data because they're never current. So I have started to go ahead and calculate the 2020 numbers, and I'll present those to you at the board retreat, because I feel like those are the numbers that you need to hear about to make informed decisions. So as you can see, some of the dynamic in 2018, we got that GEO bond for $3 million, and that's going to play out in some of these indicators. So I'll talk about it. I'll talk about that a little bit more. As you can see, in 2018, we had that GEO bond in there, and then we spent it over the next 2 years, so then our fund balances go down. We also made an informed decision to spend down our operating balance and debt service instead of taking operational funds to cover the mortgage. So that's going to affect our indicators as well. So the next graph is the annual deficit and surplus. And I know this doesn't look good, but as I talked about, in 2018, we got that GEO bond, so we're spending that down. We also made that commitment to spend down operating balance for debt service, so that's another $1.2 million. In 2019, we spent $2.9 million in the construction line. So that's a combination of the GEO bond money and the $750,000 in mitigation systems. So it, obviously it looks as though we spent a lot more than we brought in, and we did, but there are reasons behind it and informed decisions that were made that was strategic on our part. So, the point of this is to provide this information, be transparent to the public, and be able to, I hate to say defend, but inform taxpayers as to why these numbers look the way they do. Can I answer any questions on that one?
Tina, just one question I have is, how does the referendum dollars impact this, the two previous slides, the fund balances and then the annual deficit surplus?
Well, it will definitely increase our revenues, and especially in 2020, since we didn't spend all of it, that will also increase our operating balance. So we will probably look a little healthier.
Okay.
Okay, next one is fund balances as percent of expenditures. So again, you know, for the reasons that I talked about in the previous graphs, we went down a little bit in 2019, you know, purposely doing some of this construction and mitigation. With the addition of the referendum, I'm showing that percentage at 27% for 2020. So we definitely made improvement there. And then the next slide is revenue by type. Again, in 2018, that seemed to be our year. You know, we had higher federal revenue, higher state revenue, higher local revenue, debt revenue. We got that GO bond, and then the local tax revenue is pretty level. But again, revenue went down a little bit from 2018 to 2019. And then the final graph, during 2019, we didn't have that referendum revenue to count on this one. So I went ahead and did the calculation for 2020, and the referendum revenue is about 6% of our total revenue for the year. So that's what that will look like. There were a couple of graphs that were eliminated this year. One was, the tuition support per ADM, that was eliminated from public view. And general fund salaries and benefits as a percentage of general fund expenditures. My guess is that one was probably eliminated because of the change in accounting structure. You wouldn't be able to transition that metric very easily. So again, we'll go over these in more detail at the retreat, and I'll have those 2020 numbers on all of them as well. Anything else?
Questions for Tina?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tina. Okay, we're moving into a new year, so we have to elect a president and a secretary for the Finance Review Board.
I would like to nominate Mr. Lamb for president of the School Finance Review Board.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Our second.
Thank you, Ryan. Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Ryan? Thank you. And then I would like to nominate Becky as our secretary for the Finance Review Board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christy. Brian?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Andy's yes. Ryan?
Yes.
And that passes. So we have a president and a secretary for the Finance Review Board. With that, then we can close the Finance Review Board.